Welcome to the STEM Pathways podcast, where we delve into the fascinating world of science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm your host, Rohan Sharma, a passionate explorer of all things STEM. Each episode, we bring you captivating stories, cutting edge research, and inspiring interviews with experts and enthusiasts who are pushing the boundaries of innovation. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just curious about how the world works, join us as we unlock the mysteries of the universe and explore the endless possibilities of STEM. Let's get started. Today, I'll be interviewing Moises Trejo, who recently completed his bachelor's in computer science from MIT. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you for inviting me to this amazing podcast.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So to get started, I wanted to ask what all you were doing in high school.
Yeah, definitely. So I went to high school starting in 2014 and I graduated in 2018. Uh, I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, born and raised. I went to a magnet high school, which I guess for context is like it's like a public school, but you have to like test into these high schools. The application was um, honestly it's a little foggy, but I took like a few mathematics exams because this was a technology like science like a STEM high school. I think I did one or two interviews, but I think it put me on an amazing path to study STEM moving forward. My brother went to that same high school, so I had the privilege of knowing about this really interesting high school. It's called the School of Science and Engineering Magnet. And they put me on like a fast track for mathematics. So I started learning algebra, pre-calculus. I took calculus like my sophomore year of high school, which is like pretty advanced. Like it might not be so advanced these days. I have no idea, but really putting a focus on mathematics, science, and yeah, I took on the order of like 10 or 12 AP exams. It'd probably be, all the big ones you can name, like AP Calculus, Calculus BC, Chemistry, Physics, Physics E&M, Government, Economics, Statistics, English. It's hard to like really know which ones I did off the top of my head, but I was able to get a AP National Scholar, and I think that's if you score an average of like four or something like that across 10 exams. I don't really know the specifics, but
Mhm.
AP exams are huge. One, because they could give you like credit for college classes. Um, MIT, like I went to MIT, but it's really hard to get uh, credit for stuff like that.
They only take
Um,
calc and physics if you get a five on both physics C's, right? Which is crazy.
exactly. I did in fact get a five on both physics, mechanics, and E&M, but I could only test out of the mechanics class at MIT, so I still had to take the E&M class. Um, but yeah, AP exams are amazing. Like they push you, they're hard, they're interesting, much more interesting than like I think a regular exam a class, and they teach you a lot. That's on the AP exam part. I don't know if you have any questions on that.
Uh, that's nothing really. But do you have like a favorite one?
Favorite one, probably calculus. Like calculus is the one that shines brightest in my mind. Like the whole world runs on calculus. There's like a graph, a meme graph of like the math that you use in your lifetime. And it's like, first you do fractions, then you do multiplication, then you do like algebra, then you do pre-calculus, then you do multivariable in college. Then like when you start working, you do like spreadsheets. But like the joke is like you learn all this math and you only use one. But calculus is the one is used a lot in spreadsheets and like databases and like how the world is changing. Like if you understand how a number is changing and like how fast that number is changing, it's pretty important in business and technology and everywhere. So calculus is pretty amazing stuff. Um, but yeah, moving forward, like I think two programs that really set me up for college were two programs I did at universities. Like one is like a Code Longhorn at the University of Texas at Austin, and one is Sam's Science and Academy of Math and Science at Carnegie Mellon University. So I also had the privilege of having family members that like went to these universities. My brother went to Carnegie Mellon undergrad, and he ended up going back for a master's at University of Texas at Austin. So I had familiarity with these universities, so I'm grateful for that. And the first one I did, I think I did them both in the same summer. Code Longhorn was 1 week, and it's focused on computer science and like a 1 week program where you go and live at this university. I stayed at Jester uh, dormitory at Texas University, and it was great. Like they showed us around the robotics labs. We saw the soccer robot team that they had. They had robots about this tall. They didn't build the robots, right? But they programmed everything from like how to like get to the ball, how to kick the ball. They gave us like, lectures about what's happening there, like what it's like to live there, the various programs. I learned about the Turing Scholars program at UT, which is if you get into this computer science program and you fill some other requirements, you get put in a special program where I think you have access to like an early master's, you might even get some money. Um, it's just amazing to like go to like one of these universities and ask about the special programs that they have if you know to ask for them or if you know to look for them, stuff like that. So that was a great program. But probably one of the really impactful ones was Summer of Academy of Math and Science, SAMS at Carnegie Mellon. That one was probably my first introduction to me presenting myself through an essay. That's a very complicated and like um, tough thing to do. Like you have to apply somewhere and hope people accept you. So one, you need a recommendation letter. I was grateful enough to have like a recommendation letter from, my teachers, my teachers that I did like extracurriculars with, like my math team people. So that was an intro for me to know what it's like. Oh, I have to write an essay and get an application and a recommendation letter to apply to this program. So I did that and I got in because I got two rec letters and wrote some decent essays, and writing essays is not easy for me, but I guess I just stuck to it. I did a quick draft and then iterated on it over a couple months and then applied. And it changed my life because I met a bunch of friends there. I took college classes for one like summer term. I took discrete mathematics, which is like just a new form of mathematics I'd never taken before. It's a class where you learn about proofs, like how do you prove that the square root of two is irrational? How do you prove that there's an infinite number of numbers? How do you prove that some infinities are bigger than other infinities? Like really different math to calculus, which was very useful. And I ended up being able to get credit for that course at MIT. So I didn't have to take the discrete math course at MIT, which is amazing. But might have had its downsides because I didn't take a full semester at MIT, but that's besides the point. I also took multivariable calculus. So that was also super great because it was a step above what I usually did at high school. Um, and I didn't get credit for that at MIT, but I was like, you know what? Like maybe I can self-study to test out of some of these exams. If you have the ability to do well on some of these classes in high school, you can, ask like, hey, can I test out of some of these classes in university? But you might have to pay $50. You might have to self-study for 2 months, but I mean, it might be worth it for you to be able to take some extra classes and, take things that you might not have taken otherwise. Which I think is weird because if you take AP exams in high school, you probably learn a bunch of the same stuff in university, like chemistry and stuff like that. I took chemistry as well at Carnegie Mellon. Also took computer science. That's where I learned Python. And Carnegie Mellon is known for many things. One of the things is its incredible computer science program. It's like ranked one or two or three in the world. It's like incredible. And I got to take a class in Python with a really great instructor there. They taught us how to understand computer science. Like I took computer science, AP computer science in like sophomore year of high school. And that's fun and all, but you learn like Java syntax. You learn like what a program does, like, what a method would do. But if you take a course where you like learn build applications, you learn a lot more than just methods. I built a video game for like the final project. A bunch of other people did as well. That was like the open-ended part of university, which is a big part of university in general. Like instead of like having problems that you focus on for 1 week, or like just that homework set. In university, like at the end of some classes, if you have a good project-based class, they just tell you build whatever you want. Like we gave you the tools and like learnings for like 3 months, like build whatever you want using these tools. And then you have the freedom and liberty to say, okay, I want to build a video game where, goats are flying in the middle of space. And like as you like move through the video game, music starts playing generatively. That was one of the course like projects I did in university for a um, interactive music systems class. But yeah, after that Carnegie Mellon course, I had to apply to university, and that's where I applied to a bunch of universities. I don't know if you have any questions about that stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess how many did you apply to?
I applied to a total of 6 universities, and I got into those six. I applied to MIT, I applied to Stanford, I applied to Columbia, I applied to uh, UT, I applied to University of Texas at Dallas, and I applied to one more, but oh, Carnegie Mellon. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I got into those, but um, like before applying, there are these things called fly out programs. I'm sure you're aware. Like,
Not
um,
too much, but
not too much. Like there are some universities that offer fly out programs where like I think I wrote my essays at the end of junior, like, while I was in the summer after junior year, like Harvey Mudd has a fly up program, Rice has a fly up program, Carnegie Mellon has a fly up program, or at least they had. Um, Caltech had a fly up program.
yeah.
Bunch of these universities have programs where you write like a shorter version of your application, like, hey, this is me. I would really like to see the campus. Um, and they pay for your ticket. You get to stay with a student at one of the dorms. You get to like, live the college experience for like a weekend, and go to like special, announcements and stuff like that. And if they accept you for those programs, they have a liking to you and they're like, okay, this person would be interesting. They should come see our campus. So hopefully they like apply and come here. I did a few of those programs and it was great. Like, wasn't great for my like attendance in high school, but it was great to see these universities and just get more experience of like what university is like. Definitely hyped me up more for like what college is like the social scene, like you drop it in a random weekend like in fall, and, like understand what campus life is like. But yeah, you also needed recommendation letters. Actually, I don't think you needed recommendation letters, but at this time I was also asking for recommendation letters. I think you could have added supplements. Maybe I sent a recommendation letter in, but yeah, I applied to 6 universities, two of them in the Texas system, so that was like the same application kind of. A few of them in like the common application system, and I think MIT has its own separate application system. And yeah, that was more of the same. Like I'm a high school student, I have high school applications, but like high school, like it's like once you get to senior year, you've already kind of accomplished everything you need to accomplish to like kind of convince people that you're a good college applicant, unless you don't get into college that season, you should still probably be amazing for the rest of your high school senior year and apply the next year. But if you're a junior and you're like relatively confident you can get into schools, like one of your highest priorities should be like writing good essays and like making sure they're in a good spot, making sure you have good recommendation letters, which means like even asking a teacher before the summer of your senior year, like, hey, would you be interested in like writing a recommendation for me for this university? And once they write one recommendation letter, like you can use that one recommendation letter for every university, um, which is pretty great. I think I had two, one from my English teacher because she was like a great writer and like it was she's amazing and like is very connected to all the students and like has a big impact on the school as a whole. So it was great having an application, a recommendation from her. Shout out to Miss Ashmead. I also had a recommendation letter from Mr. Newton. He was the teacher for AB Calculus and BC Calculus, and also the coach for Matthew IL, which is like one of the big high school mathematics competitions in Texas. So I was able to get good recommendation letters from those two, which I think helped a lot. Um, and it's important to, be a person that's worth recommending. Like be helpful in class. Don't like dilly-dally in school. Like always help others when you can. Um, like ask good questions. Like do your homework. Like perform well. Just like be a model like student when you can. Um, and be in the programs that they're like a part of. Like I did, competitions, but I was also like stayed after school for like tutoring and like other like various programs. Like be a model student, and you should have like great recommendation letters from like these people. Like stay after school, like have a one-on-one with your teacher if you can. Like if you ask them for a recommendation letter and say like, hey, can I have a one-on-one with you to like talk about where I'm applying to, what I want to be when I grow up, and this and that. And this should be like, you know, very useful for you when applying to college. And as well as like essays, I had to juggle 6 essays, right? Which is a lot, but I had prior experience with essays that I wrote for summer camps and prior experience for applications that I had for fly out programs. And once you have like a list of like 4 essays that you've written, they pretty much kind of like are easy to lend like mold into any other essay application you have. So I think the first application is probably the hardest essay to write because you don't really have that much experience presenting yourself. Once you get the first one done, the second one is a variation of the first one. The third one is a variation of the first two, and so forth. So find anything to apply to, and get practice being accepted and like presenting yourself in places, and it should be great practice.
Yeah. So once you got accepted, what made you choose between like MIT and Stanford?
Um, well, once you get accepted to these universities, like they offer to fly you in to like admit weekend. And admit weekend is around March, March time. And March 1st or one of those dates is like the day where like you have to say yes or no to a university.
Yeah.
And um before then they have like fly-out programs. So Stanford had a fly-out program I went to. Um Columbia had a fly-out program I went to. MIT they all had a fly-out program around the same time, which is
When they
like,
paid for you to come over.
yeah, they pay for your flight and you stay with one of the students in the dorms. And the thing that really pulled me to MIT, to be honest, like I applied to MIT the last out of any of these um, like universities, just because I was like, okay, like I've gotten this far in like my STEM degree, like I've heard a lot about MIT, like I think MIT probably is like an amazing place, but I really had it really hadn't been on my radar for like the longest. I wanted to go to Stanford for a long time, because I had heard more about Stanford in my life, and then I applied to MIT, and just like because the application was like seemed easier to me. I remember each essay was only 150 words compared to like 300 words, 300 word essays for like other universities. And MIT had like four 151, so it was like easier for me to have like shorter, like more interesting. I don't know, it appealed to me. And then when I got in, I was like obviously super excited. And when I went to visit both universities, you should really look at the environment, like what's the weather like, what how the people are like. I think the biggest part is like the people. Like you can like adapt to any weather, but like it's really hard to adapt to like the people that are there. Like what are the classes like? What's the feel like of the university? Um, and when it came down to it, like MIT just seemed more, um, I guess like just interesting and inviting. Like everyone was a nerd. Everyone was working on something that they were extremely passionate about. Everyone like there were amazing multicultural programs at MIT. Like MIT had like five like Latinx like university like student groups that were interesting. And I had been to MIT like the month before because they had a special program called Sin Limite just for Latinx admits. So I felt very like special and like going there and being privileged enough to like see MIT like once before. So um also MIT just was super cool like with all the everything that was in it. Like there was a nuclear reactor like 2 blocks down from the school. Like it was in a very interesting city. Like Boston is a very cool like city. Like Stanford is like in Palo Alto, so you have to take like a train or like a 1 hour train to like go to San Francisco or like anywhere else. But like MIT is like right there, and then you walk like 20 minutes and like you're in downtown Boston, which is incredible. Um, so it's really like your personal preference. The worst thing about MIT was the weather. Like I think it rained really heavy when I was there. When I had to go back to, my dorm to like go back home, it was like raining and like I had to like use my pillow to shield myself from the cold rain, which sucks, but I got used to it. Like the weather, like you can adapt to the weather.
Yeah. So what was your experience like at MIT? Outside of classes, were there any programs you were involved in?
Oh yeah. Um, so MIT has something called IAP, Independent Activities Period. Every January, you can take that. You everyone has by default that month off, but usually it's a time for people to do a long list of things. Like there's classes you can take. Some of the more interesting classes are like a glass blowing class where you learn how to blow glass and like do interesting structures with them. There's like a metallurgy class where you learn how to make swords. There's like classes where you learn how to sail. Those are like, it's the classes. There's also interesting classes like machine learning and like a quick intro to Python. So you can like take other classes like that. That 1 month is great for classes, just for class. You can take languages, but there's also these extra programs. I did global teaching labs where you can go to a country anywhere in the world and teach in one of their schools. I went to Mexico City my freshman year. I went to teach under the schools Tec de Monterrey, and Mexico City is great, amazing, better than the weather in Boston. And I taught computer science. I tutored like this applications class, and I also did some small research with a robotics car doing some like autonomous driving. And when you teach, it really shows you where you are missing pieces in your own knowledge. So I was trying to communicate to these students like how to code, and I was like, oh, this is a lot more difficult than I thought. And I gained a new respect for like my knowledge, not like how other people teach at MIT and like how they craft their presentations and this and that. Another opportunity I did is called an externship. That's what they call it at MIT. There's a bunch of alumni at any university, but like MIT has alumni that like offer internships for 1 month. I did an internship in Dallas for a company called Town Square, and I was basically doing software engineering, and it was super amazing because it was like real. It was my first startup experience. Like Town Square was like a very small company, and they had like engineers from Brazil, and they all like flew in to Dallas, and they paid for my housing. Um, they paid, this is like one of the craziest stories. Like I went on a private jet to Tahoe because Town Square is invested by this bigger company called Associa, and the owner of Associa is like a billionaire in Dallas. Super great guy, like super great. Like at the end of my internship, we pitched like what we did to him, and he was like so nice. He was like, you know what, this is great. I'm gonna give you guys a small token of my appreciation, and he wrote us like a check for $300. He's like who does that? Like it was incredible. Like he none of them went to MIT, but like it's just like connections that like one of the alumni's made to host at Town Square, and they pulled their strings with like this larger organization. Um, and that was incredible. And the final um I didn't do an externship like during COVID year because it was better to just like relax. And then my last summer I went to Mexico City again with an entrepreneurship accelerator program at MIT called Prod. And Prod and entrepreneurship is like has like a very soft spot for me in my heart because at the end of the day, like computer science is great as a tool to do whatever you want, and you can work in industry and build tools and build systems that are great like in as a part of other systems, or you can do your own thing, be your own entrepreneur and build your own systems and like your own niches and change the world at like a faster pace as an entrepreneur. So we went to Mexico City, and for 1 month we were just like trying to like build our own startups. I had a startup called Function, and we tried to make it easier for student organizations to get like corporate sponsorships. Because like a few of the like groups I was part of at MIT got like tens of thousands of dollars of sponsorships like every year to like host events and like do these incredible things. So we try to do something in that space, but after prod, like a bunch of the people that I know from that program went on to do like Y Combinator. Like I think I know like 6 teams in that accelerator. So they have successful like companies and they're doing amazing things. A bunch of people didn't do Y Combinator but are still doing insane like exceptional things. Like their companies are making probably like 10 million a year at least. So they like were able to, take their education from MIT and the entrepreneurial spirit that is available to like anyone at MIT and like, anyone in the world, and combine them and do some incredible things. So that's what I did during those like, month programs. But I also did like a bunch of extracurriculars during MIT. Uh, but I don't know if you have any questions so far.
Uh, yeah. So I just one specific thing about MIT is how academically rigorous is it compared to other schools?
Compared to other schools, Uh, honestly, I can't really say like how it compares to other schools. I guess there's like probably like a band of schools, like like a list of schools that are like super difficult. And like MIT and Stanford, and, like the top schools like probably fit in there. But I, I university is like as hard as you make it. Like at MIT, like if you take 3 classes a semester, you can get a degree pretty easily. I and most other people took 4 classes. So, some people take 5 classes because they want to learn a lot or take advantage of like their time at MIT. And 5 classes cost the same as 3 classes. So I think, to some people it might be advantageous to take that many classes. But um, I don't think MIT is like much more difficult than other like university courses. I'm sure a professor at like, any state school can give a lecture just as good as like, professor at MIT. Just that like, the professor at MIT probably like has gotten more accolades or something in their field. But really as hard as you make it. I think the hard part about MIT is like deciding what to do because there's so much to do. Like you could focus on classes, you could focus on research in interesting labs that are available at MIT. You could focus on entrepreneurship. It's available. You could focus on extracurriculars. There's like a lot to choose from. But the academics, I think, like are, if not the same, if not the same, like slightly better than probably any other university.
Yeah. And my other question is how important is it to do non-academic stuff, but non-academic stuff that isn't even like so like not even like a robotics club or anything, but things that are just purely fun.
In university.
Yeah.
I think this is my controversial take, but I don't think classes are the most important thing at university at all. The most important thing of university is the people you meet and the connections you make, and the trajectory that your university like and teaching like puts you on. I don't forget all the like problem sets I did in university. I do remember the people that I met, and all the things that they're doing now. And I do remember like putting in the work to work hard, but I don't remember like the specifics. This is like I read this in the book. Like the most important factor to predict a hard worker is past experience of being a hard worker. And being a hard worker in university could mean a lot of things. It could mean like taking very hard classes and being good at those. It could mean taking like, a normal amount of classes, but focusing a lot on this side project that you have. That's like, a startup or a club that you're part of, like, the rocket team or the Formula One team or the robotics team. Just like being able to work hard in university, like getting that, like, ingrained in yourself. And, you know, I think it could be as difficult as you make it, but like university has so many things that you can be a part of. You should try so many things that you know exactly where you will work hard and where you will be successful working hard. Because if once you try a bunch of things, you know that like, you put your best effort in each one and you enjoyed this one the most, then that's probably what you should continue to do, or like, always remember that you're good at that. And also the connections that you make in each one of these experiences are always gonna, help you. Maybe you did dancing or theater in university, and like you took a robotics class. Like maybe you can connect those two worlds together through some like dancing robot or some technology for dancers that helps like track their movement. Like if you take part in so many things in university, like you're the person that can combine any field that you've been a part of. And you have the hard work experience to be able to stick through to actually get it done.
Yeah. So what have you been doing since you graduated?
Since I've graduated, I was very interested in startups and entrepreneurship, so I decided to join a robotics startup after MIT. It's called Tutor Intelligence. And they basically like have robots. They don't build robots, but they have robots that they retrofit with cameras and, sensors, and do like very sophisticated machine learning on these robotic arms. And they use like collaborative robot arms, which are basically like more expensive, less powerful robot arms that like won't harm or like won't um kill a person if they hit you. So, they're better to place like alongside humans. A normal robot like is blind. Like if you were in front of me and I was a robot, like it would just move in front of you, and like if you were there, it wouldn't matter. But a collaborative robot arm has like sensors on each joint so that if it hits you, it's like, oh, let me not let me not continue with this motion. So like if a collaborative robot arm hit you, it would hurt, but it wouldn't. You would still be breathing afterwards, which is good. So there's like a lot. There's collaborative robot arms are growing a lot because robots by themselves are okay, but robots working alongside humans have the potential to grow a lot in like various fields like manufacturing and this and that. And I work for them as a front end engineer. Basically, I like built like the application that people see when they want to start a robot or they want to say like, okay, robot, like I'm gonna train you on a new job, like make sure to record these like different motions. And then like, once it saves, like it like saves all that information, like sends it for other processes to, build a machine learning model on what it was just shown. And that required a lot of, user interviews, like in entrepreneurship and computer science and like any system or any design, anything design, you like basically build a thing, put it in front of someone, you you be quiet, watch them use it, write down what they struggled with, then you say thank you, and then you go and improve it based off of the notes that you took. That's a very useful skill, just design in general. Like put something in front of someone, understand how they use it. Usually people are like, oh, like, basically you do this, you do this, and you do this, and you like can't like people hand hold them through a complicated design. But usually you should just like be quiet and tell them to do something and watch them struggle. Because watching them struggle, watching anyone struggle with one of your designs means that probably everyone else will also struggle with the same thing. So it's useful for you to like not handhold them through anything. Like you should see like, oh, the camera, the video feed on this design that I made, people didn't know that it was a live video feed. So I just like added like a recording button on the on the corner of that flash so that people are like, oh, okay, that makes sense. People don't know where like the center of the video feed is. So I like added like a crosshair to the middle of the video. People don't understand that the robot is thinking. So another part of my team, like, put a light on the robot. It's flashing red if like the robot is thinking or it might move. So that was a very interesting experience, like entrepreneurship wise, working at a small company. Working at a small company is very interesting because there's only like, 10 personalities to like, work with and understand. And I got to see the CEO, the CTO, do their thing. And it was a small company, so our Christmas parties were like 20 people big, and it was great. And after that, I'm working currently at Instacart. Instacart is a much bigger company. It's like 4,000 people large, um, but it's still like heavy engineering wise. And used to be a small startup. Instacart started in 2012, and now it does like billions of dollars of revenue every year, which can show you like what a company can get to. Instacart is definitely a unicorn, and it started off just like three people. The first store that they like cataloged was actually Trader Joe's, and the story goes that like how do you like understand what a store has to be able to sell it? How do you understand like how do you get a picture of every product? How do you like know what price every product is? So the people just like went in and bought one of everything at Trader Joe's. They just went in, bought one item of everything, took a picture of everything, wrote down the price of it, and then started saying like, "Hey, order on our product, and we'll go get it for you." So they like just used some technologies that was available to them, and they like built a system and they designed something very interesting that like is now used by millions of people at scale. So yeah, at Instacart, I do like data engineering. Basically, like every day, like Instacart gets millions and billions of data points saying like this product is now this price. How do you take billions of those data points and like efficiently process them so that like every product gets their update? That's kind of um, there's like a big stream of data that happens that happens efficiently. I'm a part of that. Yeah, that's what I've been doing basically since then.
Yeah. So for my last question, I wanted to ask if you have one piece of advice for someone who's still in high school or early in college wanting to follow a similar career path as you.
It's a good question. I would say, be the person that is curious. Like, always be curious about what you don't know. A common trait with billionaires and like, scientists and everyone is that they strive to learn. Always try to learn things that you don't know. Like, always raise your hand when someone's like, "Hey, does anyone want to take this extra task?" You should take it because it's an extra opportunity for you to learn something that you didn't have like the skills to do beforehand. And it could mean like, at your high school, someone's like, "Hey, could anyone like, clean up the lab?" You say, "Yeah, I'll do it." One, like you'll understand what's available in the lab. Your teacher will know that you're like a helpful person when it comes time for recommendations. Like, two, you like become efficient and like, cleaning the lab. So you might have that experience sometime down in the road. You can like put that like as an experience point. It's like, yeah, I've cleaned like 100 labs so far. And every time like, I'm diligent about, cleaning the beakers and this and that. Like there's an opportunity for you to do something, even if it's small, and you're the person that, can be dependable and loyal enough to do it. You should take the opportunity to do it. And always try to learn, always try to learn stuff that, you know, interests you, whether it's in school, whether it's like on YouTube, on your own personal time. Like, I would recommend computer science to anyone because it's like very accessible to learn. If you have a laptop, you can learn how to build a program. And the program is very simple. Like, program could be like, get like crossword puzzles, like Hangman, like play Hangman with me. Or it could be very complex. It could be like a mobile application that you build. It could be a web application that you build. Just try to learn anything and everything that you can. Software engineering is very accessible. Like, my approach to learning is do anything that you will continue to do. Like, if you try to learn computer science, try to learn something that you'll continue doing. Like if you play Minecraft, like and you like coding in mods, like do that if you'll keep doing it. If you like mobile applications and like trying to make money as an entrepreneur, like try learning building mobile applications. Like you can make a lot of money. If you like learning about different industries and you like web apps, you can like go to a different industry and like build websites for them. You might get money, you might get like connections, do something that you'll continue to do. For me, I do a lot of like generative art. I like making a bunch of art with P5JS online. I also like building web apps. So, keep learning, keep tinkering, and always take up the opportunity to do something so that you have the opportunity to learn.
Yeah. All right then. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you, Rohan.